The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Y'all ready to get rolling? Quiet on the set. Hey, welcome back. Another episode of the Golden Boot. It's your boy Pooh. I got my man Ant Petty Murphy in the building. What's good with you, my boy? Hold on.
Got me. What's good with you, bro? How you doing, man?
Hey, man, I'm good, man. I'm good. New Year, same problems.
It's gonna
man,
happen
it's gonna happen.
every third show, bro.
Yeah. Man, we here. Man, just want to shout out everybody who's been dealing with the cold weather. We ain't used to this in the South. I think the best thing I saw, all the Atlanta stuff, man, going on, the block parties in the snow and stuff, and it was a lady.
Man, I saw a video from Huntsville.
The people here. What happened in it? Because
I'm gonna have to find it, but it was 3 young ladies doing a TikTok video. And they made like a church song about how much snow did you get.
I saw that.
Hey, that was some wholesome content, man.
Yeah, man. My neighbor was outside. He was mad. I said, "What's going on, man?" He said, "My wife, man, she's just irritated." I said, "Man, what you mean?" He said, "I told her it was 7 inches of snow." She said, "No, it's definitely 4." I said, "How do you know?" She said, "I've been looking at 4 inches for a long time." I said, "Oh." Needless to say, we got some snow here. We weren't used to it. And people been acting up, man. It's been hilarious though. But man, glad to, have had the day, the kids were all out building snowmen, snowball fights and stuff. Me and Dylan had a snowball fight. Dylan and his mama and the neighbor down the street had a snowball fight. And then just like that, it was all gone. It's still some snow. We still got some snow out here, but it ain't the same. It's like somebody just took some shaved ice and just threw it in different places. But man, we got some good ones. Dog, we gotta talk about these playoff games, bro. Semifinal rounds. Definitely the type of football we were expecting. Well, at least we were hoping for when they announced a 12-team playoff, but I kind of knew it was going to happen like this because it's the same thing we see with the FCS. The first couple rounds, blowouts, you may have a game or two, and then when you get down to the nitty-gritty, the cream of the crop, yeah, the games get tough. Definitely some good games. We'll talk about LSU adds a couple players. Speaking of adding stuff, I think it was some added pressure going on to one young Brian Kelly. We got to talk about. But first, let's go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsor over at BetOnline. BetOnline.ag. We will be back in 1 minute.
BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your sports information, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds, lines, and player injury reports for this year's NBA and NHL playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters. This season, we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. We have everything from NBA, NFL, MLB, and NHL to golf, tennis, UFC, and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games that you can play right from your home. Head on over to betonline.ag today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use the promo code BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.
And we are back. Pause up, coming with it. Penn State's never beaten those fraudulent allegations. I just want to say it's a lot of coaches out there that are getting paid a lot of money. And they need to call Brian Kelly and LSU, mainly Scott Woodward, and tell them thank you. When Ed Orgeron was let go and candidates were popping up, James Franklin's name popped up. I don't think it was a serious, he may have necessarily been a serious consideration, but his name popped up and he got a hell of a payday. Mel Tucker was another coach. They got a very nice payday out of that. Jimbo Fisher, his deal was restructured. He got a really nice payday out of it. Lincoln Riley got offered a huge payday from USC. Got everything from even including a house out of the deal.
Thought it was two houses.
They paid off his old house in Oklahoma.
I thought they paid off his old house and bought him two houses out there. Like one was like a vacation house, and one was
maybe. I just know he got some real estate property out of it. I put it like that. With some places, extra places to lay his head. However you want to look at it. I said all that to say this. We often look at how much people get paid and say that should indicate how they perform. This was, in my opinion, the best chance that Penn State has had in a long time. It's probably the best chance they'll have in a very near future. Waller's gone after this. Drew Allar will be back. I don't know about Singleton. I don't know if he's a draft eligible. I don't know if he's announced or not yet.
Both them running backs are draft eligible.
Yeah. I think this is
Tyler
the best. Yeah, Tyler Warren's out of there. He's gone. Mm-hmm. I really think this was the best shot Penn State had in a long time. This is definitely the best team they've had since probably Saquon was there. Since Saquon was there?
I don't know. That year they had KJ Hamler. That was pretty darn good that year too. But because they had Micah Parsons and all them, you know what I mean? They was.
What year was that? I thought
that was like Saquon was there in like 2016. 2018. So this was probably like 2020, 2019, one of them years.
Okay.
But it was around that same time, though. It was around that same time.
Yeah, I don't see them returning that. I mean, and I know with the portal, you can build back up. The momentum they've had this season may help. I don't see it, though. I'm going to be honest with you, because I don't know how much time James Franklin is going to have after this. He'll land somewhere and get another shot. I don't know.
So, devil's advocate, they lost this game, but
Mhm.
they won 2 playoff games.
Yeah,
So that's something they've never done before.
I completely agree. Completely agree.
So I don't know. I don't like we looking at it like, yeah, they choked on the big stage, but at the
Mhm.
same time, Penn State could be looking at it like at least we made it to the big stage.
Here's the way I'm looking at it. Penn State arguably had the easiest route to the national championship. They had to take on SMU, Boise State, and this was the toughest competition they had in Ohio State. Same thing in the regular season. They
And Notre
had
Dame.
Notre Dame. I'm sorry. Um, Same thing in the regular season. They had Ohio State, and they end up playing Oregon in the championship. But regular season wise, they had Ohio State, and that game was close, but they cannot get over the hump.
No, I agree with all
Yeah. So and
about to fire James Franklin.
no.
Well, you said you don't know how much longer he got.
No, so the reason why I say that, I think this year buys him a little time, but I don't know. Next
I
year,
think it buys him a lot of time. You made the Big Ten championship game and you made the semifinals of the CFP. That buy you at least 2-3 years just off that. We talking about Penn State, bro. They ain't never. When the last time Penn State made the playoffs?
This is the first time they've ever made the playoffs.
Exactly. And they won 2 games and made it to the semifinals. Like they not finna. While at the same time they want to get to the point where they win some of these top 5 games, they still looking at it like we made the semifinals of the CFP. Like we was 1 game away from the national championship game. Like that would be the ultimate knee-jerk reaction to say that James Franklin on the hot seat or something, or he you know what I'm saying? Like
I don't think he's on the hot seat. But what I am saying, I don't know how much time he's going to have after this season. Just simply because of just simply because of the landscape of college football right now.
oh.
Everything is knee jerk. Everything is
because if that was the case, then Ryan Day would have been fired because he ain't beat Michigan in 4 years.
Before the Oregon playoff game, Ryan Day was
That's fans. That's fans,
okay,
bro. That's fans. Okay. How much pressure was really coming from the people who make the decisions at Ohio State?
Oh, that I don't know because I'm not privy to that. But
that's my point, though. Like the fans can
from
say
the outside looking in,
if he got pressure to win for sure, but that don't mean he on the hot seat. Like I don't think these ADs making decisions like the fans think they are, bro.
I think it's gonna be a interesting long off season.
I'm just saying
that's all I'm putting.
The semifinals, bro. I don't think that's the
case. That's fair. That's fair. We're gonna see, man. Let's look at the stats though, real quick.
Like they made it farther than Oregon did, bro.
They did.
Like so Dan Lanning on the hot seat?
Nah, Dan Lanning is not on the hot seat, but
same
Dan Lanning hadn't been. No, it's not. Dan Lanning hadn't been at as long as hadn't been at Oregon as long as
Dan Lanning. How many big games Dan Lanning won?
He's won a few. Well, he lost to 2 last
year. He beat Ohio State this year. He lost to Ohio State again this year. If we want to call it beating Penn State in the Big Ten championship a big game, so he got 2 big game wins, and he's got 3 losses, at least 3 losses, because he lost to DeBoer twice.
Mm-hmm.
He lost to Georgia his first game at Oregon.
He did.
He lost to Ohio State again this year. So that's what 2 and 4. I mean, how patient they, and then this roster was arguably the best in the country. Or this was one of their best chances. I know their route to the championship was hard. They had to play Ohio State again, but man, you went undefeated all regular season, and you didn't even make it to the semifinals. So, and then they losing a lot. I know they bringing in a lot too, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't think that the knee jerk reaction stuff is how these ads and stuff look at it. Like, I don't think they look at it the way fans do. I'm not saying that he don't have pressure to win, and it's gonna be hard to win when you look at what they bringing back and the way and the fact that this year was kind of set up for them for success. And depending on who you ask, you could say that it was a successful year, making it to the playoffs and to the semifinal game, similar to Texas. Like, if you look at Texas, the way it was set up for them in the SEC, they had Georgia, and that was pretty much it in terms of the quote unquote big dogs of the SEC. No Bama, no Tennessee, no LSU. Well, they played A&M, but you get my point though. And so,
Right.
so they made it to the same round that Penn State made it in. And although Sark doesn't have the same history of not winning big games as James Franklin, I'm sure Texas fans feeling impatient at the same time because this was their year. That this year was their year as well. You know, you got a pretty easy path to the playoffs. You got the last team in Clemson. You had Arizona State, who was one of the last teams in, and then you had to play Ohio State. Similar situation to what Penn State's in. I think Penn State could probably make the playoffs 3 out of 5 years just because the way the Big Ten is, they're gonna get 3 or 4 teams in every year, and all Penn State got to do is be top 3 or 4 in their conference. That's very doable for them, as we've seen over James Franklin's tenure. So I think, like Paul Sub said, he gonna keep getting in the playoffs. So I think that's gonna kind of be job security for him. Now, does he ever get over that hump and win those big games? You know, I don't. That's yet to be determined. I don't see what will change. I think he'll continue to keep coming up short. But I think the fact that he can make it every year or just about every year into the playoffs is going to keep him around for a little while.
I get it. I hear you. I understand. I still think it's I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. This I'm just looking at it from, I guess you could say, what we're seeing across college football, but you are right. That's how fans are looking at things. That's how media is looking at it. But
who's gotten fired? Who's gotten fired because they aren't winning enough recently?
I don't know if it's easy to say. Well, I'll put it like this. We've seen 2 coaches have to restructure their contracts because of they're not producing.
That's fair.
And they were almost on the outs, including, well, I know Mike Gundy was reports he was out, and you know what I'm saying, unless he took this deal to restructure. Outside of that,
that's a little different than James Frank. I'll give you that. That's 2 guys who had to restructure for not winning, but they weren't like not winning like James Franklin's not winning. You get what I'm saying? They were having terrible 2-10 seasons, 3-9 seasons, stuff like that. James Franklin's not winning is you can't win the big game. I don't think there's any coaches really getting fired because they can't win the big game.
And that's fair.
You see what I'm saying?
Fair.
Like now, if James Franklin turn around after this season and go 4-8 over the next 3 years or something like that, yeah, that's a different situation. But if he keeps going 9-3 and sneaking into the playoffs as the 11th seed or something like that, I don't see them getting rid of him.
I don't know all the contract details either, because that could be a factor into it. As far as how much guaranteed money, people got to put
Yeah.
out for that. Especially with now, you're going to have to start paying student athletes next season. But man, let's look at some of these stats from this game. Final score, of course, Notre Dame got the win with a last-second field goal, a damning interception in the final minutes of the game. Drew Allard threw across his. But other than that, Penn State had the momentum. Penn State was doing. Felt like they were. This was going to happen. I feel like they were about to make that push. But let's look at this. First downs, Notre Dame had 23 to Penn State's 20. Notre Dame was 11 of 17 on third down. That was a big issue. Penn State was only 3 of 11. They were 2 of 2 on fourth downs. Notre Dame had 383 total yards to Penn State's 339. Notre Dame passing, they were 21 of 31. Yeah, 21 of 31 for 267 yards. Penn State was 12 of 23 for 135. Notre Dame threw 2 interceptions. Penn State threw 1, but it was the worst one. Rushing, Notre Dame had 116 yards rushing, while giving up 204 to Penn State. Penalties, 9 total penalties, 74 yards between both teams. 4 penalties for 30 yards for Notre Dame, 5 penalties for 44 yards for Penn State. No fumbles lost. I already talked about the interceptions, and time of possession played out just like we talked about it would. Pre-game, with it being just about even. Notre Dame had it for 29 minutes and 56 seconds. Penn State had it for 30 minutes and 4 seconds. So again, this kind of, I'll be honest with you, this played out kind of how we talked about it. Oregon showed when they played Penn State, you're not going to be able to run. You're going to have to throw the ball. And that's what Notre Dame came in and did. I'm actually shocked that Notre Dame did as well as they did passing. But they did go with the game plan.
Yeah.
And it was a difference maker.
Yeah, I think
Oh, that's funny. D-Lob said about the coaches. He said it's only happening in the SWAC.
Yeah, good point.
Well, yeah, go ahead, man.
But I think the one of the biggest turning points in that game was the Jeremiah Love touchdown run,
what
where
a
he
run
ran over about 5 people. And I think that pick by Drew Allard, man, he gonna think about that pick for 9 months or whatever it is till the season starts. He I don't know what he was trying to do, but you can't
throw across the body.
You can't do that, man. Not at that situation of the game, bro. And I really think that Notre Dame was gonna lose that game if it wasn't for that pick. I think, I don't know, man. I think it's like a magical season for Notre Dame in a way. Like D-Lob say, after losing to Northern Illinois, nobody thought that they would be here. But it's just saying like everything just started clicking, and everything has kind of gone their way throughout the season for them to, ultimately land at this point. I mean, from Riley Leonard got knocked out the game in the last drive of the first half. The backup quarterback come in and, like you say, 6 or 7, like slinging the ball around, and get their first points of the half off that drive, and kind of give them a little bit of momentum going into halftime. Like, that could have went completely different. It could have been the backup quarterback had to come in, went 0 for 3 real quick, and then Notre Dame gets the ball, goes down and scores another touchdown, and you down 17-0 going in the half. But it went Notre Dame's way. It just seems like everything's kind of gone their way since that Northern Illinois loss, and nobody giving them a chance versus Ohio State, but
Yeah,
I wouldn't count them all the way
yeah.
out. I wouldn't count them all the way out because it seemed like it's a magical year for them.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over the early lines for that game too. But I want to go back to that Northern Illinois loss. Shout out to Thomas Hammock, head coach at Northern Illinois. When they beat Notre Dame, he told James Franklin. I'm sorry, he told James Franklin. He told Marcus Freeman there's this chink in your armor that we saw on tape, and I'm willing to sit down and talk with you about it to make y'all a better team. They had a conversation. What they talked about is unknown, but they had this conversation. Whatever it was or whatever happened, I'm not going to give Thomas Hammock the full credit for because, he's not on Notre Dame's coaching staff. And he's not a player. But whatever he saw has obviously helped Notre Dame self-scout. It's helped them to, kind of reevaluate. And it reminds me a lot about Nick Saban. Nick Saban used to have, when he started getting all those analysts on the team, you would see a lot. The beginning of the season, the team that Nick Saban would have will be completely different from the team he would have by the time they face LSU. 2 weeks prior to LSU, their last game, whether it be Tennessee or Mississippi State or Arkansas, whoever they'd be playing, they would be doing this stuff and having all these mistakes. But by the time they got to that first weekend in November, they would have worked out all the kinks. They would have worked through all those issues. And for the most part, any issue they had, LSU couldn't exploit. It's stuff like this that leads you to, championships. And I'm in full agreement with you. This is a magical season for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
The job that Marcus Freeman has done is remarkable. The buy-in he's got from these players. Denbrock going back to Notre Dame and giving their offense this life like no other it's been remarkable. I'll be the first to say it. I mean, kudos to them. All the hate that I have for Notre Dame is not because of Marcus Freeman and they're winning. It's more because of the fans and the stuff we're gonna have to hear as LSU fans. But what they have done on the football field has been nothing less than remarkable. So kudos to them, like I said. But I'm just interested to see what's gonna happen from here.
Yeah. It's gonna be a good game, I think, man. Hopefully it's as good as what we saw between in the semifinal round.
Yeah. I'm trying to get to it now. Hold on, because I messed up. All right, next game, man, was the Texas Ohio State game, and this game was actually a lot closer than many predicted it would be. Ohio State got the win 28-14. That game was actually a lot closer than its score. This was about to be a tie game before the strip sack, scoop and score. Texas had 20 first downs. Ohio State had 18. Texas held Ohio State to 3 of 10 on third down. That's 30%. I can do that math real quick. Texas was 5 of 15 on third down. That's 33%. Fourth down, Ohio State was 1 of 1. Texas was 1 of 3. Total yards, Ohio State 370. Texas 341. Passing, Ohio State threw for 289 yards. Ohio State threw for 289. Texas threw for 283. Both teams threw an interception. Neither team could run the ball. Ohio State had 81 yards. Texas had 58. Penalties galore. Ohio State 9 penalties, 75 yards. Texas 5 penalties, 54 yards. Time of possession was virtually even. It was Ohio State had it slightly longer with 31 minutes and 38 seconds. Texas had it for 28 minutes, 22 seconds. But I want to go back here. That fumble loss. End of the game. It was strip sack, scoop and score that pretty much sealed this game. But like I said, Texas played up and was literally driving to score when the strip sack scoop and score happened to make this it was literally a 14-point swing.
Yeah,
and I think that was with less than 2 minutes, like a minute something left in the game.
it was like 2 minutes left, I think.
Let me see. Play-by-play scoring. Yeah, 2 minutes and 13 seconds left in the game. Yeah. Thoughts on this game, man?
Texas did a pretty good job of trying to take Jeremiah Smith out the game, but I think Ohio State adjusted well by going to other guys like Carnell Tate, Nabuka. The running game was great for them. Will Howard played a hell of a game. Offensively, I think that they did enough to win the game, considering they was going up against a pretty good Texas defense. And for Texas, I think same thing. I mean, they did a good job of running the football. They got a couple different guys involved in the passing game. Although their passing game wasn't really explosive, it did enough to keep that running game, to be a complement to that running game. You know, their defense, I mean, they held Ohio State to 21 points, and we've seen them putting up 30 points in the first quarters on teams in these playoffs. So I think you got to tip your cap off to their defense. That offensive line just couldn't hold up enough at the point of attack. I think we saw that in a couple different times whenever they decided to run that pitch play on first and goal from the 1 yard line. I think that they really didn't trust their offensive line. Well, it wasn't first and goal, but second and goal. I don't think that they really trusted their offensive line to make that play, you know. And so I think you got to tip your cap to Ohio State. They was just the more talented team. Coming into the season, we said they were the most talented team in college football, and over these last 3 playoff games, they've been playing like it.
Yeah. We talked earlier about hot seat and stuff because we talked about James Franklin. We did mention Ryan Day. Ryan Day is literally saving his job, in my opinion. We talk all the time, and I'm kind of revisiting his wins, his big wins haven't necessarily been memorable up until now. And every time you think about the big games that Ohio State's been in under his helm, it's been more of his losses, mainly the Michigan losses, or some of the playoff losses. if we looked at this as strictly the playoff run, this reminds me of those New York Giants, Eli Manning New York Giants runs,
Mm-hmm. Hey, you want to
where
know what's crazy about? Go ahead.
go ahead. No, I was gonna say it just remind because the regular season was, I mean, the regular season was good for Ohio State outside of the Michigan loss and the Oregon loss is excusable. But outside of that Michigan loss, it was a good regular season run, but it still felt like, you know what I'm saying, it was an underachieving season. And then this playoff run is like, this team is we kept talking about there is no team that is elite this
Mm-hmm.
year. And now we're seeing this Ohio State team in the playoffs, and it's like, there they are. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I had, for the radio Friday, I had a question that I was gonna ask one of the guests,
Mhm.
who worked for Sporting News. He college football writer for Sporting News, and I was gonna ask him, have you seen a guy have a regular season, a decent regular season, but have like a great postseason in that same year? Because to me, Will Howard is having an Eli Manning type of season in those championship years where he has a good regular season, but then when the playoffs come, he turn it up a notch and he plays at a
Mhm.
damn near elite level. And that, I think that's what we've seen for Will Howard over these last 3 games, is he's playing at his best that he's played all season. And it's one reason they've looked the way they look, because their offense looks more explosive whenever he's connecting on some of these passes that he's been doing these last
Mhm.
3 games. So for you to compare Ohio State to those Giants teams is very fitting, because I see something very similar with how Will Howard's been playing.
Yeah. Will Howard, I mean, it says here 7 carries, 4 yards. He had that 18-yard run,
Yeah.
fourth down run that was some key in this game as well. 24-33, 289. He threw a touchdown and a pick. But we talked about it when we had a show. What was that?
That was
Wednesday,
Thursday.
Thursday. We had the show Thursday, and we were talking about it, comparing Will Howard and Ewers, and I was like, Ewers, I had more expectations for him, and I feel like he was playing down, but I had less expectations for Will Howard, and he's playing up. But their numbers are similar. Even look at this. Look at the stats on the screen right now.
Mm-hmm.
24 33, 289, 23 or 39, 283. They're virtually similar. I mean, Ewers has one more touchdown pass. They're virtually
Yeah.
similar. But if you watch this game, you're like, Ewers did a good job. Will Howard did a really good job. And it's
Yeah.
just it's the optics of it. I'm I'm
I think
I'm be honest with you. Yeah.
the difference between them is Quinn Ewers was the number 1 overall quarterback in the country coming out of high school, and Will Howard was like a 4-star quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like I
Yeah.
think they both play well as quarterbacks. It's just that Quinn Ewers has this expectation around him and this hype around him because he was the number 1 overall player in the country coming out of high school before he reclassified. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
he was like one of the highest recruits of all time. I think, like, fair or unfair, like, recruiting services have made people look at him in a different light.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Um, like I said, looking at this game, if I would just see the final score, I would be like, oh, Ohio State won this, kind of, separating
Convincingly.
themselves, convincingly won. It's not at all. That game was closer than expected, which makes me think that the next game is going to be fairly similar. So I do want to talk about that real quick. Um, Let me go here and talk about the national championship matchup. Initial thoughts on it. The opening line was Ohio State minus 9.5, over under 46.5 points. That is now down to 8.5, and 45.5 is the total. Ohio State money line is minus 355. Notre Dame money line is plus 280. If you feel Notre Dame can do it, you might want to put that money in now because that number gonna shrink. Also, you might want to take the 8.5 if you think it's gonna be a close game. The problem is Ohio State hadn't really had a close game in the playoffs.
Yeah. It's close. That closest game is 14 points.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm literally looking. They won their first game by 25, won the second game by 20, and then this one by 14. So I mean, it's a trend. They slowing down. Maybe they'll win the next one by 7. So
maybe, possibly. I think it's gonna be interesting, man. I think you got that explosive Ohio State passing game that we've seen throughout the playoffs, against a pretty elite Notre Dame secondary with Watts, Gray, and all those guys back there. A pretty good front seven for Notre Dame, but I think they're gonna have their hands full trying to contain the run for Ohio State. And on the flip side, similar situation as a good running game for Notre Dame going up against a pretty good front seven for Ohio State. But can Notre Dame push around Ohio State enough to be successful in the running game, especially considering I'm pretty sure they're missing their starting tackle for the game. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Riley Leonard gonna have to have another game like he had against Penn State in terms of passing the ball, because you can't beat Ohio State being one dimensional unless you're Michigan. Unless you're Michigan and you just manhandle them up front enough to where you just muck the game up and make it ugly. But I don't know if Notre Dame necessarily has the Jimmies and Joes to do that.
Left tackle is out too. Starting left tackle for Notre Dame is out.
Yeah. That's what I was saying.
Got injured.
I don't know if they're gonna be able to push them around without him.
Yeah.
About to be ugly in Philadelphia, my boy.
Yeah, it is. It's all right with me. Ooh. Saquon look fresh.
Yeah, that's why I ain't really mad at their decision last week.
Yeah, to let them sit. Yeah, it's not. It's just. Yeah. Just trying to think of this. We'll wait because I know we're gonna talk more about this matchup later on, especially when we get closer. We got 8 days before we even get to the championship game. But man, I do want to bring this up. We talked earlier again, back to coaches on the hot seat and coaches feeling pressure. Is Notre Dame's success speeding up Brian Kelly's clock at LSU?
To some people, it may be. I don't know why it would. I think they inherited 2 totally different situations, and the two teams' paths to the playoffs are entirely different. So I think it's really comparing apples and tomatoes. You know what I mean? Like Well, not
Both
tomatoes,
fruits.
still a fruits. Yeah, I was about to say they still a fruit. You know, it's it's like comparing, you know, apples and corn or something. You know what I mean? Like it's two totally different objects. It's two totally different
Yeah.
situations. I mean, Brian Kelly left a team in Notre Dame that was borderline a playoff team the year he left. And he inherited a team with like 50 something scholarship players. Um, and he's playing in one of the toughest conferences in college football. Uh, Marcus Freeman inherited a damn good team, has done a damn good job recruiting and keep, you know, continuing to build on top of what he was given or inherited, you know, but his path to the playoffs is a lot different than LSU's in terms of strength of schedule and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm not taking anything away from what Marcus Freeman's done. Like he's done a damn good job at Notre Dame as the head coach, but I don't think it has any effect on Brian Kelly's clock in terms of success at LSU. I think Brian Kelly's clock in terms of success at LSU is being sped up by the fact that Les Miles, Nick Saban, and Ed Orgeron all won national championships within like their first 4 years there at LSU.
Yeah. Actually, this is the longest it's taken in the modern day since Nick Saban. This is the longest it's taken a new coach at LSU to win a national championship.
Yeah.
However, to be fair, the way you get to the playoffs or to the championship is completely changed. So yeah, it's been different. And DK brings up, what's up, DK? DK brings up a good point. He says LSU mid-years arrived today. He said totally random. But yeah, that's
Yeah, I
the
seen
future.
DJ Pickett arrive to campus. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna be good. Man, shout out to my little cousin. He's in Boston now, man. He's a early enrollee, so he's in BC. And Boston is a real city. So I can't believe he said that. Man, look, another year, another 2019 LSU comparison. This time it's Ohio. Yeah. 2019 LSU, and people are saying Ohio State is having the best run in college football ever. They've had to take on Tennessee and Oregon and not Penn State and Texas, and I get it.
They did play Penn State.
Yeah, they did play Penn State. I get it, but we got to stop with the 2019 comparisons. I get it. One thing I will say though, Miami fans gonna be mad to hear this. Ain't nobody talking about this team could beat 2001 Miami. This is the next best team to 2001 Miami. No, we're not talking about this. We're not talking about that Miami team, and not saying that Miami team's not great, but I think the difference is that Miami team was great because of what all the players that were on that team, what they did in the future in the NFL. I think we talk about the 2019 LSU team because of the actual run that they had in college. How they outscored everybody, the margin of victory in that 2019 playoff run, postseason and a run was like 160 something to like, I forget what it was, like 40 or 50, something like that. No, it was like 60 something. It's crazy. And granted, Ohio State is doing well. LSU ain't losing no 75 Michigan.
Nah. Like that's, to me, that's what makes their claim about the greatest season or whatever of all time. Like if it would have just been the loss to Oregon, I might would have gave them like a little mulligan because you avenged that loss. You know what I'm saying? But all right, so let me ask you this. This just brought game day yesterday. if Ohio State wins the championship,
Mm-hmm.
are you remembering that they lost to a 7-5 Michigan team?
Yeah,
You are.
I think people still gonna talk about it. It's
So
still gonna because
so
if
so
it
so
was
I
because
think
that's
if
just like I give you.
Notre
Mhm.
Dame wins, I think people are gonna bring up the Northern Illinois loss more than people bring up the Michigan loss. Just because
That's
one of them
fair.
is to a G5 school. You see what I'm saying?
That's
Like
fair. That's fair. But that's just like 2003 LSU. People still talk about the loss to Ole Miss.
they lost to
Or was it?
Florida.
Who was it? Oh, Florida. Florida. That's what. The loss to Florida. The 2008 Florida. People bring up the loss to Ole Miss. That team. Was it
I
2008
don't,
Florida or
but
2006? But it's always, saying people talk about, saying, oh, they lost to, saying their one loss was to this team or this the team they lost to. So that's kind of what happens. But yeah, I think you're gonna talk about let's go back here to that question about Ohio State and the 75 Michigan. If that loss was to Michigan State, or if that loss was to 75 Washington or somebody else in that conference, I don't think we talk about it as much. But you lost to your rival.
but to Nick
And I think
Saban's
that's
point, Alabama has won the national championship in years they lost to Auburn, and nobody brings up the fact that they lost to Auburn, except for Auburn fans.
I'm about to head to Roger House and Mama and
Hey, mute your mic, bro.
You already know I'm heading down there.
Mhm.
Okay.
My
Uncle,
bad.
do you have any face masks?
He this boy. My bad.
Like only Auburn fans bring up those losses to Auburn the years Alabama won the national championship. It's just another Alabama national championship to everybody else.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. Paul Suff said
I
the
agree.
Michigan loss was a turning point for Ohio State going into the playoffs.
I agree. I don't think they. You want to know why? Because Chip Kelly came out and said he watched what Michigan did to them, and was like, "Oh no, this is how they gonna play us. So let me, you know what I'm saying?" And so he changed some things offensively, and I think it also was like a wake up call to the players that they can't just go out there sleepwalking. That they got, you know what I'm saying? That they, I think it was.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think it's the same, similar to the loss to Northern Illinois. You know what I'm saying? Because like the loss to Oregon, they was like, you lose to Oregon, they a good team, number one team in the country, type good. Like you barely lost to them. You still feeling like, oh, we still, we could still beat anybody on any day. But you lose to a 7-5 team who really ain't that good this year. It's like, oh, hold up, bro, something ain't right. We got to get this right. You know what I'm saying?
Is it that that's basically that it was a Troy loss.
Pretty much, yeah.
So yeah, I can see it, man. I can see it. Man, sticking with LSU, man. Help is on the way. LSU added tight end, Texas A&M tight end Donovan Green. He committed to LSU on yesterday. I think this is a very big addition. I think what it does is it's big in the sense of what it allows LSU to do with Trey Green.
Yeah.
I think because now
you got two other tight ends.
You got two other tight ends where you could do more big body 13 personnel, but you still have the athleticism where he don't have to necessarily be in line. Yeah, I think this is huge.
Yeah,
Huge
I think
addition.
I think you're starting to see Brian Kelly build his offense the way he wants it. With, I think last year the transfer of
McAway.
Mac Markaway. I couldn't think of his last name for some reason, but yeah, Markaway. I think that kind of altered what they wanted to do a little bit offensively, by not having the number of bodies in that room as they really wanted, and not having that true inline blocker that Markway was. So I think now you got multiple guys who can come in and be 12 personnel, like you say, 13 personnel. You got a true blocking tight end in the LaFleur kid, so you got
Sharp as well.
You got Sharp ain't really a true blocking, but he can block. But but you got pretty much every phase or every type of tight end that you would really want in that room.
Yeah. I always, in my opinion, when I think about a tight end, especially at LSU, there's 3 tight ends that I think of that were that allow LSU to do so much. One may shock you. Foster Moreau, Thad Moss, and Dylan Gordon. Was it Dylan Gordon?
Richard Dixon.
No. Richard Dixon. But I think of Dylan Gordon because he was truly a big body blocking tight end.
Yeah, but
he had hands, and a lot of people don't talk. If I'm not mistaken, that game it was Menberger's last game, the game against Arkansas. He got hurt. LSU was pinned at the 1 yard line, had to go 99 yards. He caught the first 2 passes to get him out of off the goal line in that game. He's always one of my favorites. But you are right. Richard Dixon is another one. I like this addition, like I said, because I think it does a lot for what you want to do. Danny asks, he said, only thing is I do not see him as a blocking tight end, or am I wrong on that?
He can block. I mean, go back and watch some of the film and some of the runs Le'Veon Moss had last year. Like he can block. Now he's not like a left tackle out there blocking, but he can definitely hold his own out there on the end line.
Yeah, big facts. No bad. I'm just checking out some other stuff. I like what LSU is doing in this. I like what LSU is doing with this transfer portal class. Last thing we need, man, we got to get that safety.
Yeah.
I know the kid from North Carolina State. I think he's still taking some visits before he makes a decision. So that's something to look out for. But definitely got to get that shirt up. I do feel a little bit better about the safety position, having what I've seen out of Jordan Gilbert. Is that right, Jordan Gilbert? Is that right?
That's whenever he moved to the star role.
Yeah. I don't know why I was thinking like
with Toviano. Toviano was playing with Spears.
Yeah. So I like what I saw out of Gilbert. So I do feel a little bit more at ease, but we still need a safety. But Ant, this next story is something I saw you posted about it, and it got me thinking, and I kind of like it. Or some that was discussed previously. Deshaun Ford basically committed it. He committed to ULM, but he said he's going to follow a Ahmad Hardy type model.
Yes,
for those of you who don't know, and tell us about Ahmad Hardy and kind of what he did.
He was a under-recruited running back from around the Hattiesburg area who came to ULM late in the recruiting process. And all he did was become a freshman All-American. And one of the top rushers in the country, and then he hit the transfer portal and is now currently at Missouri. So what Deshaun Ford is trying to do is come have a breakout season as a true freshman and then use that as a launch pad to a bigger college. We've talked about this before as in the age of NIL. I mean, not in the age of the transfer portal. Some school at one point in time is gonna become and is gonna look at themselves as like a minor league to a major program, and ULM is fully embracing that model. They don't mind you only coming there for a year if that means they're gonna get a kid that would never otherwise consider ULM. Deshaun Ford is not going to ULM for any other time except for using it as a 1-year rental. So should he have said the quiet part out loud? Maybe not, but I respect his honesty. But ultimately, that's what it is for some of these smaller schools. You gotta find your lane, and if your lane is recruiting high school kids and developing them for 4 years, and trying to go that route, more power to you. But at some point in time, I knew it was only going to be a matter of time before one of these schools looked at it and said, I'll take that kid who probably should be going to a Power 5 school. I'll take him for a year. And if that means I'm going to get a kid that would never consider my university any other year, and so if I get 3 of those guys that would never otherwise come to my school, then I might have a better team than I would have if I went the high school route. So it's all about how they choose to build their program, and we got to be honest, man. It's a 9-month or 6-month, really 6-month, 6-month basis on how rosters are these day and age, bro. With the transfer portal being as prevalent as it is, so ULM just trying to get the best players that they can get for the next 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
If that means getting a kid who is only going to be there for that 6 months, hey, who's to say that high school kid that they recruit going to be there in 6 months? That lower level high school kid that is going to be there in 6 months. So, I mean, I ain't mad at it, bro.
You want to hear a secret? Let me rephrase that. Several schools that we talked to during our recruiting process said the exact same thing. They said it in different ways. They said the exact same thing. Language you hear that tells you that this is going to happen. When you hear stuff like, come here and we're going to prepare you for the next level, no matter what that next level is. That's not always talking about making it to the NFL. We're going to get you prepared for your next step. They didn't say, hey, we're going to have you ready, compete and go to the league. It was, we'll have you ready to compete and go to the next step of where that may be. D-Lob in here from UAPB. D-Lob, I know you remember this because it was had the swag streets in the buzz. One coach, Dwayne Taylor, came out on Twitter and said the exact same thing. Come to Alabama A&M. We'll get you ready, for when you want to move up to, if you want to come here and move up. But Alabama A&M is a place to be. It happens all the time. People, and it's the quiet part out loud, but it's the truth. It's what's happening now anyway. A lot of people are doing it. They just maybe not be advertising like that. Hughes, Mekhi Hughes, that was at Tulane. He just did 2 years though. It's the same concept. A lot of people don't know. Tank Dell, that was with the Houston Cougars that went to the Houston Texas. Guess where he started off at? And I know he was at Alabama A&M for those of you who aren't paying attention.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, what's your boy Scatterboo was at Sacramento State. It's plenty.
You just had a Heisman Trophy winner that did the same thing. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But your Heisman Trophy winner literally just did the same thing. Oh, by the way, his quarterback did too. Oh, by the way, the safety on that team did too. Oh, by the way, most of the people on that team took that same path. It's happening everywhere. Your Heisman winning trophy quarterback that just left technically did the same thing. Hell, your last two Heisman winning quarterback.
Mhm.
It was for a different reason, but I mean, it's the same. Kids are going to move, so why not? I mean, why not have kids come to your school, better your school, or try to at least give them some notoriety and then move on. I don't know the situation with Ford, because I do know he had other big offers at first, but then something happened because they talked about he had offers from like Ole Miss and somewhere else, but
Yeah, I
ended up
think the other schools didn't want him. Other schools didn't want him playing running back. They wanted him at other positions, if I'm not mistaken.
and there you go.
But
Yeah.
I also think that, like, we heard for years, like, why should some of these kids go to LSU and sit the bench for 3 or 4 years when they can go to a smaller school and play? That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Instead of going to an Ole Miss and sitting the bench for 4 years and then playing as a senior, he's going somewhere where he could play as a true freshman right away. And just because he said he wants to follow the Ahmad Hardy model doesn't mean he's only going to be there for 1 year. He just means he wants to ball out somewhere and then use that as a model, as a method or means to go play somewhere else bigger. So I ain't mad at it, bro. That's what a lot of these kids doing. He just basically said it out loud.
Yeah. D-Law, and I'm glad D-Law said, he said, gotta find a way to compensate us smaller schools, wishful thinking. And I completely agree, D-Law. I did see something. There was a coach, I forget where, HBCU coach made the suggestion about their players being poached. He said, maybe it wouldn't be such a taboo. He said, what if some of these larger schools buy out those scholarships or those players?
Well, I
Like that.
don't think you could do it until these players are under contract.
Yeah, you can't. But I'm just saying that's
when you get under contract, then you know what I'm saying. Then you could talk about things like that. But I think that's
something that could help the smaller schools.
Yeah, I mean, but let me ask you this. Okay, since D-Live been here, let's take UAPB for example, right? All right, they got a young lady who was on their basketball team last year, right? Zay Green. Where she came from?
UAPB. Actually, she done been in a couple schools. UAPB.
She came from Tennessee.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right.
So is UAPB gonna have to pay Tennessee to get a Zay Green to come there? If we want Tennessee, or we want Alabama, I should say, we want Alabama to pay UAPB for Zay Green to go to Alabama. Is UAPB gonna pay Tennessee for Zay Green to come to UAPB?
That's a good one. It's a good question. So went to Tennessee and A&M. Was she at Texas A&M? I know she's been a couple of places. Let me look.
She was at Texas A&M. That's right. I forgot about Texas A&M. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I just know she went to Tennessee first.
Yeah.
But you get my point.
No, I get your point. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah.
Okay. He said we're not poaching P5 players. They poaching ours. Okay, Jackson State got a kid from ULM on their roster. Should Jackson State pay ULM for that kid? Jackson State also got a kid from where he was from. It was it was like a P5
Baylor
school. Yeah, Baylor. Should they pay Baylor for that kid?
Yeah, Prairie View got another kid from Baylor. It's happening a lot. It goes both ways, and I get what he's saying. It goes both ways. Let's see. Dana says, if I go ball out a lower level and I earn the bag in the portal and become highly sought after versus the risk of dropping a bag on a high school player that has not proven it yet. I don't know. I don't know what she mean by that. I don't know.
Me.
She said, what about the player side money-wise? Going lower level, how do you pay for school and everything they need with less scholarships available? Serious question.
I mean, ULM is a FBS school. They have the same amount of scholarships as LSU.
I don't know. Maybe she's going to mean FCS, which, I mean, I know their
FCS
numbers
got less, but yeah. But I mean, it's still a full ride, though.
Sometimes, not all the time. I get what you're saying, though. It's a lot of, they do a lot of half stuff. I mean, but the kids aren't suffering. I put it like that. I do know they're making it, and yeah. So, well,
no, I was talking about at ULM.
No, I know you. Yeah.
FCS is a little different.
Yeah, FCS is definitely a lot of mental gymnastics going.
But yeah, I think JUCO, JUCO totally different. And I saw somebody when I posted this on Facebook, I was going back and forth with somebody who said that Ford should basically go JUCO if that's what he want to do. Nah, that's totally different. That's totally different. The JUCO, you ain't got no full scholarships. You ain't got the same medical
type of facilities. Yes.
Insurances and all that kind of. It's totally different at JUCO.
Nutritional programs, all that kind of stuff.
JUCO is getting it out the mud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and D-Lob is right to an extent. I get it, but it's I just feel like we don't have many resources, and we invest the little resources we do have to develop a kid just for P4 schools to reap the benefits. Not wrong, just unfair.
Okay, but at the same time, that Power 4 school could say the same thing. They spent 2 years investing in strength and conditioning, nutrition, and all that on this third string linebacker that they got, and then he transferred to a SWAC school, and then the SWAC school reaping the benefits of what they done developed for 2 years. It's the same. It go both ways.
Yeah. Oh, she was saying on the first comment, she's a P4 program. She'd rather drop her bag on a proven kid that balled out at the lower level school than drop a bag on an unproven high school recruit. Yeah, I mean, high school kids are suffering more, but it
depends.
Yeah,
but I get a sentiments though, but I think it's a case by case basis.
Yeah. Let's get ready to wrap up, man, because it's running long. NFL news. This is the worst kept secret in all of football. Mike Vrabel is now the new head coach of the New England Patriots.
Surprise.
Yeah, that was about the worst kept secret. When he showed up back there as a analyst or whatever, I kind of had suspicion then, but shout out to Alan Bell. Alan Bell was saying this once they dropped once Mayo was fired about this. I also want to say, as shitty as it was to me, the way that Mayo was kind of he didn't have any resources or didn't have, he was let go. I do give props to Robert Kraft for coming out and saying, hey, it's not him, that's on me, blah, blah, blah. And
it was on route. Mayo. Screw, I'm sorry, bro. Like, why you ain't start Drake May from the beginning of the season? If he ain't good, you got a whole built-in excuse of I'm starting a rookie quarterback. And if he's good, then you playing the best guy. So I mean, I feel like he didn't help himself in a lot of instances. Like winning that game when you had the number 1 pick sold up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it might seem stupid to us, but you just cost them the chance of getting Travis Hunter or whoever, or of having every option available to them in the draft, and now they picking what, fourth? Like, that's a big difference in a draft that ain't very good.
That's true. That's true. Man,
Because even
next
if they
up,
didn't want a
man.
quarterback, if they had number one pick, they could have traded. Somebody could have traded up for it. And being that there's only 2 quarterbacks in this draft, somebody who was sitting at number 4 or number 3, you know what I mean, might would have gave a lot to move up and to guarantee themselves to get one of the 2 quarterbacks people are viewing as, sure things.
Yeah. Since we're talking to NFL, Wildcard Weekend so far. Thoughts so far or the games? I don't know. Have you even been watching or been able to watch?
I watched a little bit of the Chargers game yesterday, and a little bit of the Ravens game. The Chargers game, Justin Herbert. I ain't gonna bag on him too much because he had a pretty good year. But boy, that was one of the worst games I've ever seen from a quarterback in the playoffs. Shout out Stingley. He had a hell of a game. A day after being named the All-Pro. So salute to him. But that Texas defense was causing havoc all over the place. And I honestly had picked the Chargers to win because the Texans had kind of been playing I ain't gonna say bad, but they hadn't been playing great football coming down the stretch. But man, they flipped the switch when the playoff hit, like Will Howard. And so they defense, man, they was all over the place yesterday.
I thought about that too, but I also had to think about it. They played back-to-back Thursdays, the Ravens and the Chiefs.
They put up 2 points, bro.
Yeah.
2 points.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
bad. I understand the circumstances, but bro, like, you couldn't even score an offensive point.
Yeah.
Like, the Chargers was playing pretty good ball, but man, DeMeco Ryans and that defense, man, hats off to them, bro.
So random NFL question. My son, a Bengals fan his whole life, wants Dennis Allen as his new DC for the Bengals. Thoughts? Maybe my view is tainted by the last couple of years at NOLA. As a DC, I don't have a problem with him.
Yeah, he a damn good DC. But I think he might end up in Denver in some capacity. But he wouldn't be a bad hire at DC though. He a damn good DC.
I think the Bengals need I'm gonna be honest. I honestly think they need a true offensive coordinator. Let's stop letting Zach Taylor call the plays.
Didn't they have that when they had Callahan?
Yeah.
What you think about Deion to the Raiders? You think there's any truth to that?
I heard that rumor. What do they pick this year?
4th, no, 8, 6, something like 7, 8, something like 9, something like that.
Hold on. Let me see something.
I done said about 12 numbers.
You did.
But they picked somewhere between 6 and 9.
Hold on, I'm looking. They are 6. Good call.
Yeah.
They're pick number 6. I think the only way this works, Deion to the Raiders, if they get a higher pick, or if they don't to get Shador. I think Deion would sacrifice not having Travis Hunter to get Shador, to coach Shador. I saw an interview he did.
That ain't happening.
No. So here, okay, I'm glad you said. Here was a scenario that people were talking about. That I kind of understood. Said if you are New England, I mean, of course this doesn't matter now because they're out.
Well, if that was the case, that was a little different. That was a little different. If you could have traded Drake, made it to somebody who had the number 2 or number 3 pick, then that's a little bit different.
This was the talks. You trade Drake May to Tennessee and get Tennessee's pick. You draft Travis Hunter. I think was it Travis Hunter? I think you drafted Travis Hunter because and you bank that Shador is around for the 4th pick because Cleveland might not necessarily draft a quarterback. Cam Ward would go to the Giants. So I'm just saying that was the thought process back then.
But I thought, but no, see, that's the thing. New England had the number 1 pick overall. Exactly. So you trade Drake May to Tennessee at number 2, and then you have the number 1 and number 2 pick. You draft Travis and Shador back to back.
Yeah, but that's not happening.
That ain't happening though.
Yeah. I honestly, I mean, I get it. Matter of fact, Ant, you said a little while ago in conversation, Jacksonville gets rid of Doug Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
Hires, trades Trevor Lawrence. Kind of the same situation, and drafts Shador. I know it was just kind of talk, saying, hey, wow, what you call it, but I think it's an interesting thought. I really do think the only way he goes to one of those NFL teams is if he can draft Shador.
Yeah,
because I'll say this, he'll draft Shador as long as he can get him early, get up there and get him early, because he'll get Shiloh. He can get Shiloh in the late rounds. No offense to Shiloh.
I almost said, but I don't know how much of having Shiloh really would matter to Deion, honestly.
I think he wants him honestly.
I mean, I'm not saying he don't want him, but it ain't like he gonna say, I'm only going there if I can get Shiloh. Like I think he would do that with Shador, but I don't think he would do that with Shiloh. No disrespect to Shiloh, but I think I agree with you. I think he only gonna go somewhere if he can guarantee the coach Shador, and there's no guarantee that happens. So I don't see him leaving.
Yeah. Man, shout out to Alan Bell again. With the no-fly zone, he called for interception by Jordan Love. That dude is good, man. Golly, the dude is good. So actually, yes, I do, Dan. And she said, with the Tom Brady influence at Oakland, do you really believe he would want Deion? Yes, if I'm not mistaken, they do business together a lot. Or have
it's the reason why Tom Brady was training Shador.
Yeah. They do it. They have a lot of dealings with each other behind the scenes. We ain't got to stay here long, but I do want to ask about this. LSU men, are they in trouble? Men's basketball?
Ain't they like 0-3 in conference?
0-3 in conference.
Yeah, they in trouble.
And
the crazy part is, like, early in the year we looked at that K-State win as a great win on the road, and it was a good win, don't get me wrong, but they ain't really having this type of season we thought they might have, so that win don't look as impressive. So you really got to consider how good this team really is.
I thought the K-State, the Florida State, hell, the first half against SMU, I was like, okay, this team might be on to something. And they got Arkansas coming up next. It gets, brother, just listen to this. This is the next 5 games. Arkansas, Texas A&M, Alabama, Auburn. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Arkansas, number 10, Texas A&M, number 5, Alabama, number 2, Auburn, and then Texas. Auburn is number 2 right now. They're probably going to be number 1 when the rankings come back out. Alabama's probably going to move up. So yeah, this is it's not looking too good.
Yeah,
it's not looking too good at all.
I don't know, man.
Brother,
I don't know.
the SEC is expected to get 13 teams into the tournament this year. And yeah. It's not looking too good. Women's basketball, 18-0. Any thoughts, comments on that?
Yeah, Tennessee game was pretty good. I thought there could have been some different decisions made in terms of matchups defensively and things like that. But the fact that they was able to go on the road and come out with a win, you gotta be cool with that result.
Yeah. All right. Man, that's about all I got. Carson Beck going to Miami, following his boo thing.
I mean, for reportedly $4 million as well. So I can't. I mean, Will Levis made like 900 some thousand this year in base
925.
salary. Yeah, come on, bro.
I don't think this is the last. Rumors have been that Quinn Ewers may consider coming back. Said it's some teams trying to get him.
I'll be
I'm gonna say I'm gonna be honest. I think it's Notre Dame. Third year in a row.
Yeah, he don't fit their type of quarterback though.
What was Hartman? Was Hartman wasn't necessarily that tight?
Hartman was more like Riley Leonard than Quinn Ewers is. I think Riley Leonard and Sam Hartman are more comparable than Quinn Ewers, in my opinion.
That's fair. Danny said the unrivaled.
It could be Oregon. They have Dante Moore though, but could be Oregon.
I honestly thought I thought Miami was in the running for that, but
I did as
now
well.
that
I did as well.
I think somebody also mentioned North Carolina, but I don't see North Carolina doing that, spending any kind of money like that. Not with Bill Belichick at the helm.
Nah. I don't see it.
Yeah. Danny mentions Unrivaled starts Friday. Not that anyone necessarily cares.
Yeah, that's a
3-on-3 WNBA league, basically.
Yeah, whenever NFL playoffs wind down a little bit, I'll start tuning in a little bit more. Danny said it could be Ohio State. I don't know. Ohio State got some they got some youngsters they believe in, like Julian saying.
Yeah. D-Lob said, who is Ole Miss next quarterback? What's that kid? Austin Simmons. Yeah. Hey, D-Lob, they got him one. Nah, it ain't gonna be Ole Miss. I don't see that. They got him one. That dude, they're nice. Is he coming back to them next year? Is Max Johnson going back to North Carolina?
Oh, I don't know.
Commanders take on Buccaneers tonight. Thoughts on the game?
Should be a good one. I think it's going to be a close game. Most interesting thing to me is Marshawn Lattimore versus Mike Evans.
Punt down inside the 5-yard line, plus 200.
Go for it. It's
already hit once tonight. I'm hoping it's going to hit in this game. It's probably gonna hit in the late game. But yeah. She said he took a medical red shirt. Yeah, I know that, but is he going back to North Carolina? That was my question. That's the only thing I didn't know was he going back there. I ain't got nothing else, my boy. Get ready to get up out of here.
Yeah, I ain't got nothing else either. Not that I know of. Let me think. Nope, I ain't got nothing.
Y'all be careful out there. Gamble responsibly, I guess.
Look who done crept up in here. Like bro man through the window.
Yeah. What up, Tony? Said what's good. Yeah, I ain't got nothing else, man. That's about it. Women take on Vanderbilt tomorrow night, 6:00. Oh, NFL it's the second year in a row. Wild card Monday night football.
Yeah.
Oh, I ain't really.
And it's gonna be in Arizona too.
Oh yeah, because of the thoughts and prayers going out. Saying everybody affected by that in the Palisades, California area. I swear it's like I know what's going on. It slips my mind, bro, every time. This game, hopefully it don't get out of hand. Green Bay is down by 10, so 10 minutes left. So we shall see. Yeah. All right, let's get up out here. Something going on. I got to figure out what Dylan and are doing. All right, man. Let me go ahead and get up out of here.
All right, bro. Y'all have a good one.
All right. This week. Like that, we got.
This show was presented by betonline.ag.
Bring me my money.
You can find the Golden Boot Podcast on YouTube at Golden Boot. On Twitter at Golden Boot. On Instagram at Golden Boot. On Facebook at the Golden Boot Pod. On TikTok at Golden Boot. Or listen on all streaming platforms. Golden Boot!